that's kept me together through everything that I've been through is my relationship with God. I would not be standing here today without that relationship. If I didn't know him, if I didn't know have his love, if I didn't have him standing beside me, I don't even want to think about where I would be. I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest. So,
I say the exact same thing, verbatim. Yeah, I 100% resonate.
And so I think, okay, he gave me today again for a reason. What is that reason? The thing that's the grooming stage in particular, the favoritism, I need one-on-one with your student, or wow, they're so amazing. I mean, if I think about the 3 men that I know of, because I've had a few rapes where they slipped me drugs and I didn't know, and it came out during therapy. Like the 3 that I know of were people that I knew. They were a neighbor. They were a boy visiting for a church event. And they were a gentleman who was actually in in good standing with the church, in a high calling, which is why nobody believed it till years later when it finally came out. Even when I tried to say, no, this happened. And they're like, oh, no, that can't be true, because of how good the family was and because of the position that they were in. But that's exactly how it happens. They are in a position to take advantage often. If they're not a family member in particular, they'll have some kind of position or something that gains your trust. And then you have a problem. But I'm getting on a random tangent here. So, but from your point of view and from what I said, what do you think about what we can do about it moving forward?
I don't even know where to start. You've said a lot of things that have triggered things off, and I've been trying to keep track of them. So I'll just try and go one by one in no particular order, because you said so many things that really resonated with me. One thing that you said early on when we were talking about the generational trauma, and you had mentioned you're stopping it, stopping it, it stops with you. I think something that I've been wrestling with is just for me personally is, while I think about not just the ripples, but kind of the ancillary trauma, right? So my daughter was 1 year old, so she doesn't remember anything. She, this is all new to her, but I think, inadvertently, and we've talked about it over the years, but inadvertently, I wonder how much she absorbs maybe from my behavior, or maybe if I'm quick to react or quick to anger or things like that, some of the after effects or the aftershock of the assault, I wonder how much of that has impacted her as an impressionable teenager. And so I think a lot about that. And that's when you said, it stops with me. And I kind of think the same way, no, we're not going to keep secrets. We're going to tell the truth. We're going to do what's right. We're going to do the next thing. And I think we can try and do all of those things for the betterment of our children. But I think there is just, unfortunately, there's some of those unknowns and uncontrollables that we just don't know. And she's 13 now, but she's not going to be able to tell me Mom, I'm feeling this way because, of what happened 12 years ago. So anyway, so that's one thing that I've been kind of wrestling with. I think another thing that you mentioned is that I find interesting is kind of and I don't know that it's it's the same thing, but I think about you were talking about how the people of position are protected. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about before. So I think, here's the thing. I think perpetrators and people that do bad things are really smart. I don't think that they're dumb. My husband said after the assault, he said to the perpetrator's wife, who is my husband's cousin, he said, listen, good people do good things, bad people do bad things. And it's so simple, but it always stuck with me. And I think, going back to my statement about perpetrators being smart, it's because they know what they're doing. They know who they're grooming. They know they're in a position of power. They know what the family dynamic is. They know that they've been doing this for years. They've been testing to see what they can get away with, or to see how this person's going to react. And so whether it's a family member, a person of power, a person in, the church or something like that, I think that's what we have to keep in mind too, is it's that misnomer of like, oh, this is just, a crummy human being in the back alley. Like, no. These are smart individuals who have, and unfortunately, it's not a one-off thing. What happened to you, what happened to me, that's not the first time that those individuals have made those choices, those bad choices. And thankfully, our resilience, our strength as women, like, that's where I get a little bit feisty and fired up. Like, okay, nope, not you picked the wrong one, because I'm not the type to stay silent and just kind of brush things under the rug. So I'm thankful for my loud mouth in that regard.
Well, something I just thought of that I recently came across is they took a bunch of guys in jail and had them just watch groups of people walk and say, okay, out of these people walking, who would you pick? And they would pick the people who were distracted.
You're kidding.
They would pick the people that were timid, the way that they were walking. But anyone walking with confidence and purpose, they wouldn't pick on them. And so there is a certain kind of people that can pick out of a crowd, even who they know they could go after. And it's why we're seeing a lot of safety tips on like social media, especially like if you see a tag on your car, you've been marked as an easy target, pay attention, be aware. Like today, it seems like we have to be sophisticated and being safe. And I've noticed just being a single mom, the minute somebody knows I'm a single mom with 3 kids, they think I'm dumb. Like the amount of people that have tried to screw me out of money, like just getting an oil change on my car or tires on my car or a mortgage for a house, or I'm like, I have a business degree. Like I'm getting a master's. I'm not dumb. I am at all. And so I just have to be careful. But yet, it's really interesting as I was dating a guy and I went to get my car fixed, and boy, did that car get fixed just because I had a man involved. And I'm like, this is stupid.
Right.
Like, so I don't know what energy I was giving across, but I'm like, nope, picked on the wrong person. You mess with me, you're getting a very bad review. And I have lots of reviews on Google, so good luck with that. But, like, I feel like I have to stand up somewhere and have a voice for myself because of those things. And growing up, not being allowed to have a voice, not being allowed to talk about these things, not being able to heal because of it, makes me even more like you, of wanting to be like, don't mess with me. I don't mess with the right person. The truth will come out. I will continue to communicate the truth. Even if nobody wants to believe it, I will continue to communicate the truth. And eventually the truth will set you free, right? Like eventually the truth will turn on the person who was lying the entire time, whether that's a family member, whether that's somebody in a high position, but eventually the consequences are going to come for them, because any lie is like, I think it just keeps going.
I think, and another thing too is, the conversations that we're talking about, like having with our kids. And I think you were talking about like how we're walking and how we're carrying ourselves. And I think it's easy to, so my 16-year-old's a boy and my 13-year-old's a girl. And so I think it's easy to be like, okay, we got to teach our girls how to walk confidently, or, to look for what's around. But I'll be honest with you, Tiffany, I think that I put more focus on my son. And thank goodness my husband is like, he doesn't require any teaching. He's already aware of that even before the sexual assault. He's just a good human in that respect. But I think I spend more time with my son, not like scaring him, but saying, like, helping him understand, like, you don't understand that, like, women have to look around for this, or like when you do this, like sometimes it can give off this kind of vibe. So I do try to find new ways to talk to my son about that, because I do think that we do need like more emotionally sensitive, aware, strong men that will communicate, tell the truth, be that safe space too. So
I think it's huge. And that's what I mean by like, why are we tolerating this? We're letting generations of this go on. And if we have a son, we are obligated to teach them how to be gentlemen. I mean, where did gentlemen go? Where did holding the door for a
Right.
woman go? Where did respect for a woman go? Why is this over sexuality of women and girls allowed? Why does somebody want to pass the consent age of 14? I heard that from
Oh my gosh.
and I was like, what? No, I don't think so. No. And so there's some morale there that has changed. And unfortunately, a lot of it has to do with the media and desensitizing people and the access to it.
Yes.
And so we need to stand up for it. I love seeing companies like the Angel movie company, who they raise their own funds to do their shows, and they keep them Christian, they keep them good, and they keep them clean, and they have clean comedy. Like, I'm all for more of that. But unfortunately, sex sells, violence sells, the negative news sells, and it's so much more about the wrong thing. It's about the wrong thing. And it also fantasizes the wrong thing. If we really showed the consequences of these situations that we're glorifying and we're fantasizing about, it would not turn out the way that it's made out to be. There's nothing more devastating than to use sexuality inappropriately. There's nothing more devastating. You lose a part of your soul in the process. And that's just, you're not soul, you're a sexual object. You're just there to meet my desire. It was never meant to be that way. That there's creation that happens. And, I've made the mistake of trusting certain individuals that made promises and deceived me, and thinking that was love. And growing up in a home where love was very conditional and transactional, I still don't think I fully experienced what love is. I think I have a taste of it with my relationship with God. And I think I have a taste of it with the relationship for my children that I fiercely have. But to really have that oneness in a marriage, like when I get to hear about couples at work, to hear about a husband who's a real gentleman, who is able to handle something like this so well, I applaud it. It gives hope to me too, that they're still out there. There's still good happening too. We've been focusing a lot on the negative, but we can fight this. There is a call to raise up as men, to raise up. There are people that are getting behind this. You just don't see it in the news. You don't see the fights for this, to end, human trafficking, to do something about it. There are organizations that are doing it, but I think the problem is, why are you waiting for somebody else? Do it in your neighborhood, do it in your community, be a voice, share your story, be open, don't be ashamed. Because that could help someone else not be a victim, or that could help find a perpetrator and end their ability to continue on. And so, and there's forgiveness in there. We have to let it go. So we don't become bitter, so we don't become angry. But I also found a lot of peace in the idea, as a rape victim myself, that your body will literally change. Every cell from head to toe changes every 7 years. So no matter what violation has happened to you, it doesn't stay with you. It is eventually, you're going to be new. You're renewed all the time. So there's no reason to think that you're spoiled, that you're ruined, that's the one beautiful thing about the human body and our ability is to change and to grow and to move. We do have that ability, even to change the pathways in our brain about what happened and the meaning we put behind it, or the guilt and the shame put on us to hide it, or whatever happened. And I think it's harder as a child, because you really have to go back and see the situation as an adult and look at it. I don't know if I've shared on here, but so my son recently, as kindergartners get this class as a requirement. But for me, it was too late. I hadn't got the class on safe touch until after the fact. So I have a very vivid memory of sitting in the elementary lunchroom with all the tables down. We're all sitting on the floor, and I'm kind of close to the front row. And the lady, maybe it was good I was in the front row, the lady coming to talk to us about it, and I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky little 5-year-old girl. I'm completely naive to what's happened to me twice, not once, twice, 2 different perpetrators. And when she said that, I burst into tears, because my first thought as a 5-year-old is, I'm ruined. I am completely ruined. I had no way to process anything outside of that. So I remember bawling for however long her presentation was. So of course she took me aside and talked to me, and then got my parents involved. And then, we tried to reach out to the perpetrators and let them know and let their parents know and all those kind of things. And then my parents only put me in counseling until the counselors seemed like they thought I was okay. And then I remember one time getting my hair cut, and for some reason I wanted to talk about it. I talked about it, and the people laughed, and my mom was ashamed, and she's like, never talk about that again. I was not really allowed to heal. I just carried it into my teen years and then into college. And then things kind of blew up for me in that way of not knowing to do with these feelings and these things and being so confused about my sexuality because it was never talked about. I was pulled from public school, homeschooled in private school. So on top of that, I never got a sexual education class. I didn't know my own anatomy and how it worked. I kind of got one little video on why I have a period, and I got taken advantage of because of that. And so I have talked to my kids from a very young age about what's appropriate and not appropriate, way before they're even, the minute they ask me anything about why does mommy have different parts than I do, why do I have a penis, why do you have a vagina, giving them the proper anatomy names for it as well. So that doesn't, they give it a different name and those kind of things. So it feels like a real win to this week have my 5-year-old go to that class, already be informed and come out of it empowered and okay, I know I'm not naive. I am not going to be a victim. And so now I just want that for more people. I just want that for more family members. I know for a fact out of my 3 children here at home, nothing's happened to them. I know nothing's happened to them. I haven't allowed the opportunity for that to happen. And maybe some people will say, well, that's being an umbrella mom or whatever. I'm like, no, I've allowed them to go do things and be places. I'm not there all the time, but I know where they are, what hours they're going to be there. Have I met the parents? Do I know who they are? Do I know what's going on? Can I go and check on what's going on? And it just makes a difference to be available and aware more than anything. And then once they're 18 and they're on their own, they're going to make their own choices. And I hope I've laid that foundation. So I also have to let go of, I've given them the tools, I'm giving them the education, and then they're going to go make their own choices. And people can look at me and say good parent, bad parent, or whatever they want to say about me. But I wanted my children to develop a voice. I wanted them to be informed. I wanted them to start exercising their agency under my roof so they could start making choices under my roof. And if there's some bad ones, I can be there to help versus they go out in the real world where there's much bigger consequences for playing my little robot or my little pet child. And then really experimenting with life. Let them go out knowing who they are. Because I think that makes a perpetrator not want them. Because when they know themselves and they're not timid and they're not used to, yes, whatever the authority figure in my life says, that's particularly troubling. If they don't know how to make choices without somebody else telling them what to do, you're asking for them to be a victim right there.
Right.
What other thoughts or advice would you give parents from your experience, maybe to another mother, and to prepare our kids, but also what to be aware of yourself? What has changed about what you're aware of in the situations that you allow yourself to be in?
That is a complex question. And the thing that I keep coming back to, and I think it's part answer to your question and part something that you said that I was thinking about earlier. So forgive me as I jump around again. I think, one of the things that you said earlier is it made me think of my relationship with Christ and, how we're beautifully and wonderfully made. And I think that's hard, maybe as women, maybe as humans in general. Well, I do, to your point, I do have a very supportive, loving, and gentleman husband who I think loves me wholly as I am. But I think just knowing that, and again, reading it on paper, it's okay, to be able to know that to your core is, for me, I think that's something that I towards and aspire towards believing. And again, to your point, maybe that's something because of, some childhood traumas or, the sexual assault. But I think that's also being able to have, for me, and it sounds like you two have a relationship with Christ, and knowing, to your kids, you don't report to anyone else on this earth. You report to him, and how you raise and steward your children is governed by him. So I think that's something that I learned, because I always say that I was a little C Christian before the assault. So, I believed in God. I was very legalistic. Well, I mean, I thought legalistically, but I didn't, I wasn't going to church as often at all. And so I think that was part of my healing journey too, is finding faith, finding a relationship. And I'm still, that's 12 years in the making, still finding comfort in, speaking it aloud and learning how to have that be seen in me without coming across as a Bible thumper or, like super evangelical. But I think that is such, that's such a huge part of me and my life and my reason for being and what drives me. So why should I shy away from that any more than like, being a woman, being a mom, just how we started off this conversation. But I think it's hard because you have judgment. But again, like we talked about earlier, like you're going to have judgment for anything, how you raise your kids, a helicopter mom or whatever. So that's what I'm learning and trying to really lean into, is being more confident in that, because again, like we talked about, like the ancillary things that are passed on to my kids are going to feel that, oh, I love that. Hi, buddy.
You've talked about something I'm very passionate about, and I didn't mean to get a complete tangent. I really love what you're saying. And it is such an important piece of the healing process as the thing that's kept me together through everything that I've been through is my relationship with God. I would not be standing here today without that relationship. If I didn't know him, if I didn't know his love, if I didn't have him standing beside me, I don't even want to think about where I would be. I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest. So,
I say the exact same thing, verbatim. Yeah, I 100% resonate.
And so I think, okay, he gave me today again for a reason. What is that reason? I need to seek it out.
Yes.
Because something could have taken me out and it could have been my time. It's not my time. Even if someone was trying to make it my time, it is not my time. And I'm not going to go until I do what I came here to do. And I also find strength in that. That's like, okay, then I must have agreed that I was going to go through some tough things. And God knew I could handle it. And so now what am I going to do with it? How am I going to make it my message? And that's part of this podcast. I like having an open space to talk about these things for someone else that needs to hear it, for a mom that might be struggling, or you have a teenager that's gone through something, or a relative in general, especially when it comes to sexual assault. Like, it affects somebody in your life. And most likely everyone has someone this affects, whether you know about it yet or not. And so hopefully something today that they've heard really resonates and helps them. As we start, we have we have some time left to discuss a few more things. I know I've kind of gotten on tangents. So any more insights you want to hit, things that I said that sparked something as we start wrapping up here?
I don't think so. I think we did a good job of bouncing around. I needed to like keep some notes or something, because I think conversation, I stumbled over my words because I was thinking one thing and like wanting to talk about another. No. Oh, so
well, I have to apologize. My mind moves very fast. And I've been told I can cover a lot in 30 minutes that most people can't, because I can just like, so
I love it. I love it.
So it's
the doer in me appreciates that.
Okay. So sometimes I'm better asking the questions, and other time I'm like, oh, you got me passionate about something. And this is what I'm really passionate about, because I survived it several times. And like, I grew up a good Christian girl. Like, I was taught all these things, but I wasn't taught enough to protect myself. I wasn't taught enough to avoid situations. I wasn't taught enough to know somebody was grooming me. I just wasn't. And also being an empath, I was attracting the wrong people without realizing it too. And I have to forgive myself and realize that, like, because someone who it's like happened to multiple times in different people, and then learning about it in therapy and different things, like I realized that underneath it all, I was looking for love. because I haven't fully experienced it yet. I haven't experienced somebody that loved me as a whole person and who I am. I was a gymnast, I was a cheerleader, and sometimes that was the obsession, is staying with the dancer who's really flexible or whatever. But now I recognize that. I couldn't earlier. I was like, oh, they must love me. No, they were after what they were after. But I was just so naive and so desperate to feel love, man. Like it just
recovering cheerleader here too. So
there you go.
I got you.
Yeah. Cheerleaders, take note.
Yeah.
Well, and divorcees also take note. I wish somebody would have said, hey, by the way, you're gonna have a lot of weirdos come after you right after you divorce. But it's the world we live in today. You just have to be informed. And you have to you just have to be really centered and confident about who you are, and then have God with you. I mean, I know I felt angels around me. I've seen the consequences of the things that have happened to me could be so much more severe than they have been, because I've been protected to some extent. So I think, don't judge someone. You don't know what was in their heart. You don't know all the circumstances that were going on. Do good. If you can handle somebody that needs to talk about it, great. If you can't handle it, if you're just going to judge it, pass. Let them find somebody who can handle it. Get them to someone who can deal with it. Don't fudge it and use it as, ooh, something for gossip. That's like my biggest pet peeve. We all are seeking love. We are all seeking to find where we belong. And on that path, sometimes people take advantage. And it may look like what you want to, and then sometimes people see what they want to see. I know that's very true with me in certain circles. Like, people see what they want to see and believe what they want to believe, because people take sides too. And that's the worst for kids in a situation. Like, it's terrible to take sides one way or the other, victim or perpetrator, or, in a divorce, like taking the mother's side or taking the father's side, or try not to do that. Try to, I guess, see us all as children of God, but also there has to be that line and that boundaries with abuse. There has to be. And so I think it's a fine line to be a true Christian and to be making those safety measures for boundaries for the right reasons, not necessarily judgment, but those safety measures. And then also just being loving. Love never fails. If we can bring love into any situation, mental health, rape, murder, whatever ugly thing your family or yourself are facing, if we can bring love into it and God's light into it, we can have the discernment on what's the best thing to do and how to approach it and not make the situation worse, and also not continue any more of the trauma generationally. We can find a way to heal it. And so I guess that's my last random tangent on this today. Jessi, thank you for being so brave and coming on here and being so open and sharing your story. And where can people find you if they want to know more about your book, if they want to work with you as a speaker?
Yeah, so you can find us at thestoryweshare.com. That's you can buy our book direct there. You can learn more about our speaking there as well. Also, the book is available wherever books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, places like that. So I'd love to hear from people, to learn from other people as well. So I'm constantly consuming. So feel free to reach out.
So give me the title of the book one more time and the subtitle and your name, just so people get real clear, and then we'll put some links and stuff in here too.
Yes. So my name is Jessi Bixler. The title of the book is The Story We Share: How One Sexual Assault Rippled Through a Family and Their Fight for Healing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, audience, we'll see you with another episode real soon of the Resilient Mother podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe so we can share this message. We are a worldwide podcast with guests all around the world, and we want to continue to grow this community. You can find us on socials. You could also be a guest. Look for that link below if you'd be interested in being a guest on the podcast. If you know a sponsor or would like to be a sponsor, please reach out to me or Catherine as well.
sure we want you all on this journey. We want to hear your stories. We want to share your stories. We want to gain strength from each other, because together we're stronger. And to never forget the blessing of being a mother and what we're creating. We're creating the future every single day of our lives. So get on this train with us and let's do this thing, moms.
I believe in you. Believe in yourself. God bless. And we'll see you around. Take care.